Hello, entrepreneurs, dreamers, business owners, and happy people with high hopes. Welcome to Cashflows with your host, Cash Matthews.
All right. Hello, friends and family. Glad you're here today. I am Cash Matthews. Our show today is called Cashflows, and this is where we talk about the important things of life that might be business, personal, or some combination therein. We're glad you're here looking for the good life. And coming to you from Tulsa, Oklahoma, from the luxurious audio studios at Elevate Coworking. And Kenneth, good morning, friend. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
You know, I think I'm like all the other yahoos in the world getting ready for the new year. What do you think about all that?
I like it. I think it's pretty cool.
You do anything? Are you a New Year's guy? You do anything special for New Year's?
I am. Well, there'll be some sleeping involved, and there'll be probably some. I just thought of this. My family usually gets together and we'll do. We call them poor man's turtles, but it's like Rolos on top of pretzels, bacon in the oven.
Oh, that's a thing.
Yeah,
Wow.
Salty, chocolatey, caramely taste.
Does that mean rich men eat real turtles?
Well, that makes me wonder. That's a fair question. It's a very fair question, but I don't know.
That's like we've just turned into a recipe show.
We did in one episode.
One episode we went from relevant content to recipes. So pretzels with a Rolo on top of them.
That's right.
Wow.
Baked in the oven for a little bit. I don't know how long. Just the Rolos start to melt down.
You should put some of that like crunchy salt on top of it too.
Oh, help us.
Oh man. Wow. Okay, I'm in.
That's it. Well, hey, this is a great show today. So I'll see you after I get those cooked up. And,
please do.
We'll talk later.
That sounds awesome. So we'll introduce our guest here in a minute. And Jillian Marina is with us. And officially want to kick the show up. Kenneth, we have a large listening audience in the 4-city metro of Sallisaw, Henrietta, Wagoner, Bowlegs. And I don't know, we're just dominating that area right now. We have a lot of listeners there.
Yeah.
Calling
At
in.
least 4, yes.
Yeah. Edna Gernblaster called in and she wanted to know the answer to this question. And that is, hey, Kenneth, what's a guy like you doing in a nice place like this?
So I'm actually a local celebrity. I don't know if you knew that.
I did
but
not
in
know
the
that.
in the 4-city area,
I did not.
A local celebrity for most awkward waving. Yeah. So
Oh, you want to give us an example?
yeah, it's just
Oh.
it's
What do you
kinda,
get there?
You kind of get like both angles.
There's like a 3-part.
It's like a 3-part deal there.
Well,
Yeah.
I think you knocked it out of the park right there. I'm
Thank
more of
you.
like the 5-year-old redheaded kid in the back of a 67 station wagon.
It's very specific. Are you sure this isn't like your actual memories?
Oh, wait a minute. Wow. I'm cleared. The room is clear. Okay.
This room is clear.
Let's wow, I think we digressed more in
That
2
was-
minutes right there than we have in 20 shows.
Wow.
Anyway, well, we're glad you're here. And
Why, thank you.
so Cashflows is a show where we talk about this idea of fire, aim, ready. We're all in business and we're all in life. And there are a lot of similarities between life and business.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that occurred to me in my life is that way too many people are just waiting for some magical line to appear.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where fire, aim, ready came into my life. Sometimes I think you just got to get started. And, there's a lot that comes along with finishing, but too many people in their life are ready, aim, and they never actually pull the trigger on this life of their dreams. And it costs just as much to dream big as it does to dream small.
That's right.
So we dream kind of big here. And I'm still holding out to play in the NBA.
Yep.
And I'm uniquely designed for it. I have the torso of a 9-foot man and the legs of a 3-year-old.
Okay.
And I think that puts you like right where you want to be to get in the NBA. So
That's what I've heard.
I'm
yeah.
hoping they'll find me at a mall or something and go,
That's
dude,
right.
we've never seen anybody quite like you.
Yeah.
So
In the mall. Because that's where they're scouting that.
Well, that's why we're doing the podcast. I just wanted to put out there, like,
Somewhere in between the hat shop and the shoe shop.
That's right.
We'll probably run into you.
I'm available. I just wanted the world to know
Yeah.
that. Okay. So we're going to introduce our guest today, my friend Jillian Marina. Jillian, welcome to Cashflows. Glad you're here.
Hello. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. So, we met through this idea called the Business Owners Networking Group, the B.O.N.G.
Mm-hmm.
and we understand. And yeah, I think everybody has the same, like, I'm not getting involved with that. I don't do the weed.
I don't do
or
drugs.
However you say it. Is it called
do the weed?
Is it called the weed?
I don't eat that grass that way.
My mother did ask me because I kept saying I had a bong meeting. I had a bong meeting. I had a bong meeting. She goes, "Are you just going to get high?"
Oh,
That's
good
great.
call, Mom.
That's great.
The brownies that were in there in the kitchen, I know you had 3 of them.
I wasn't going to skip that.
All right. Well, Jillian Marina is a social media management expert for both small and medium-sized businesses. And you can find her at keeptulsalocal.com. But we're going to talk to her today about her life and her career and how she's overcome some obstacles. We're going to talk about things that have gone great. We're going to talk about mess-ups. And
those are always the most fun part, right?
I don't know. They're the ones we talk about.
Yeah.
Like, you could have made $1 million last year and then like, oh, man, I forgot to dot my I. Or I put
my one handwritten letter all year, I forgot to dot my I.
You're in therapy because you forgot to put a stamp on a letter. Like, oh, yeah, I did great, but then there's the stamp incident. So, anyway, all right. So we met at the Bong. We met through this idea of the Bong, and I don't remember how it all transmogrified, but is that a word?
I'm not sure.
It should be.
Okay, I think that's from Calvin and Hobbes.
It might be.
Yeah, we need to check that one out. That might be a copyrighted word, so you may have to delete that.
You have to check the FCC fines on that.
Yeah,
one.
see what you can do. But we met, we talked, we had an event at Scotty Lawrence's Magnolia Soap on her grand opening, and then it seems like the next morning we were having pancakes at my house. Walk us through, like, both of us meeting somehow. Who are you?
Where did I come from? Now, the funny thing is what you had actually noticed was that, I'd actually been in Bong for a while.
Right.
I just didn't know I was,
Oh,
and,
okay.
And a friend of mine had said, when I posted that I was looking into going back into social media, she said, "Why didn't you go put this in Bong? You're already in there," that kind of thing. So I did. And, basically it was just a post saying, if I got back into this because I had been out of it for, a couple of years, who would be interested. And I could not believe, the response that I got.
Yeah.
And that led to, okay, let's meet up. Let's do a one-on-one. And then I'm like, okay, I can do 8 of these a day. That's fine.
Sure. Yeah.
So, and then Scotty had her event. I came out there. You had written me or I had written you, and we had planned to meet up, a Starbucks, by my house, a Starbucks. Right. And so, but when I met you, at Scotty's event, we just hit it off immediately.
I think so, yeah.
I mean, and I'm not even sure who hit it off more, me and you or me and your wife. Like, she was just like, okay, I'm keeping this one.
Yeah, she's kind of awesome.
And we started talking about dogs, and we started talking about pancakes, and
because they go together.
Because of course,
right.
pups and pancakes. Come on. And so basically, I said, "Have you ever done a one-on-one at your house the first time?" And he was like, "Well, no." And I said, "You ever made anybody pancakes?" And he goes, "Well, no." And I said, "So should we really go to Starbucks?" He goes, "You want to have a pups and pancakes at my house tomorrow?" And I said, "This is a match made in heaven." I said, "This is going to be the best thing ever."
Yeah, and it was because we had some commonality through Austin, Texas at Kirby Lane.
Kirby Lane. Ooh.
Man, that place is all kinds of
So
good.
good.
And I just happened to have 4 big bags of Kirby Lane pancakes.
Yeah, he literally brought back like my childhood pancakes for our first one-on-one.
Yeah. And they were
really good.
Yeah, so I kind of messed up, Kenneth. Katie was there, and I was like feigning like I did, "Oh, I'm so helpless." She's like, "Yeah, good luck with that, bro. I ain't cooking pancakes." "Oh, I wish I knew how to cook pancakes."
I wish I knew how to mix this water in with this pre-boxed mix.
How do you pour pancake mix out of a bag? Yeah, it was challenging.
They turned out really good, but he didn't even it was kind of like awesome. Like, he didn't even just do the pancakes, right? He had this full-on spread going. He had, the little, what did you have in front of me?
Everything that, I don't know, beef jerky,
Yeah.
pickles, cheese, nuts.
So good. Like,
now, were these to eat on the pancakes or separately from the
this was
pancakes?
to eat while he was making me the pancakes.
Yeah,
Oh.
that was the pre-pancake appetizer.
Oh, yes.
The PBA.
Okay.
I was
The
totally
PBA,
spoiled. I
yes.
was like, you know what? I'm moving in. That's
Wow.
what's
We
happening
had
now.
sometimes you meet somebody and you're just going to be friends forever
Mhm.
Yeah.
until they get to know your personality. And hey, sometimes forever is
And
just
then
like
we're
6
going to be
weeks.
closer. No. And it was funny because at the end of that hour, like, I had, again, because Bong had like gone onto my link to schedule my calendar, and I didn't realize it was just back to back to back to back. So when we got done, we were just like, wait, it's been an hour already. And I think we set up another like hangout like for 2 days later.
Yeah.
We're like, we're not done.
We're not even close to done. But that is the great thing about genuine networking. If you had come over and taken out your flip chart, like, hey, move those pancakes, man. Step 1. Social media. What if you had started?
Yeah, no.
If he had started with the selling process, it would have. I don't know. It
would have gone a different way.
It would have soured those pancakes.
Or we would have had some funny thing come up in the middle of it, and we realized, oh wait, we're supposed to be friends.
Yeah. Well, so Kenneth and I have this deal. Like when I'm in an appointment, if I text him just the letter, AAA, like he'll save me like AAA.
Yeah.
And call me and pretend that there's an emergency. Oh.
You realize that chicks do that all the time, right?
Yeah, I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry, Jillian. My friend Kenneth is stuck on the side of the road on his bicycle, and he's got his pet alligator with him, and I've got to run right now.
I absolutely have it. So that oh God, I'm going to call myself out now. People are going to catch me if I do it. But my kid, my youngest, is conditioned to when I text him, like, get me out of here, he will FaceTime me. So that it's totally believable because it is my kid. Right. And he's saying, Mom, you got to get here, da-da-da. But the problem is a couple times he's done that and he's been like, Aiden's dead. And I'm like, oh, you keep telling me my other kid is dead. I can't follow along with that. So.
Yeah, that's okay. You need to set some guidelines.
I did. He knows now it's stuck to the power went out. We got locked out.
Once you have like 11 major breakdowns at coffee shops or restaurants,
you start getting caught. But especially if it's, your kid's dead. Wait, no, he's not.
So you've had some good success meeting with Bong people.
I have. I honestly can't think of a single one-on-one that I've had with a Bong person that I didn't, walk out of there feeling, energized and, excited about making a new friend, excited because, inevitably at some point you start talking about business and things like that. And I've always said that the thing that I love most about what I do is that, I work with business owners. Right. I get to hear their excitement and their ambition and their motivation and their drive every single day. And frankly, that's part of what keeps mine, as high as it is. So, being able to literally over the last 3 weeks, just meet with Bong people every day, literally minimum of 3, maximum of 8 every single day for the last, since in December.
Right.
It's done more for me than I could probably even try to convey because of the fact that, as I said, I wasn't sure that I was going to jump back into doing the marketing, doing the social media.
We want to talk about that in a minute. But first, I want to find out about your accent. Because I'm not sure if you're from Texas or New Hampshire, with a little bit of like California.
It gets a little muddled, right?
Like what are you? Where are you? How did you get here?
Born in Houston, was there until I was 14, so that's where our Texas thing was.
You're a bit hickly.
A little bit.
That's a word, hickly.
So and then moved to right outside of DC in Virginia for high school.
Okay.
So there was a little bit of that East Coast, right?
Right.
And then up to New York City for a little while before I ended up here. So
you're tortured.
I always said that I could never waitress because I'd be like, y'all want some coffee? And they would just get totally confused.
You want some coffee?
Wow.
Dude, like that many accents going, you can get like TMJ problems or something.
It gets a little funnier too because my best friend lives in London. And so when you're somebody who has that many accents and they come onto you so easily, he lives in London, but he was born in Texas. So when we talk, mine starts going a little bit British and his starts going a little bit Texas. And it's a mess. So
Okay, so you've been all over the map.
Yeah.
You've got an accent from each of the places. Most people collect T-shirts. I just wanted to say
I collect accents.
Or shot glasses or something. You got an accent.
I collect accents.
Hey, honey, I just got back from Rhode Island. Here you go. That was probably terrible.
Luckily, I've never been to Canada, so.
Oh, yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, my dad was stationed in Canada during Vietnam.
Wow.
That is such a funny joke for you, neither of you to get it.
Yeah, no, I missed that. I actually thought you were being serious.
No, all the conscientious objectors in Vietnam went to Canada because that's where they had to go.
Oh. Okay.
And I'm just trying to be funny. My dad.
Would you like me to hit the little button for the joke?
I don't think I deserve one at that point. Okay. I probably should have done some footnotes before we got going. I'm going to be doing...
Laugh here.
My podiatrist has done footnotes before.
So. Oh, that's good.
Oh, you gave it to him.
Yeah, but you told me that joke before.
Oh, you win that one.
On the video, there'll be footage.
Wow. We should talk to our guest since we brought him here.
Sorry. So our meeting's over.
Our meeting's over?
Yeah, that was a good 5 minutes that we had. All right. Well, thank you for clarifying.
It's okay. I'm just taking footnotes over here.
Okay. There we go. All right. So through all of that, how do you end up in Tulsa?
So I was actually on tour with a musician, and we came to Tulsa.
But you're on tour?
Yes, I was working. I was doing merch. I was not a singer. My dad was in the music business, and I was born with all of the connections and none of the talent. So it wasn't anything.
Okay, so you're on tour with like a known singer?
Yep, that one was Gavin DeGraw.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. And so we ended up in Tulsa. We had a day off here, and I totally fell in love with the place. Wow. I saw this as Austin, Texas, only totally untapped.
Right.
And, I think I was 21 at the time. And I just saw it as, okay, I'm moving. So when the tour was over, we moved. Well, I moved. I had made a best friend that lived out here. We moved into a condemned apartment building, and
it's cheaper that way.
It was. And it made me think of New York. So, so I was comfy. But yeah, I love it here, and I've, toyed with the ideas of going home, sometimes, whether that's Houston or, back to the East Coast and things like that. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't want to raise my kids anywhere else.
Yeah, I think that's smart. But so you've been on tour with bands. Like, I'm sorry.
I see where you're trying to go.
Okay. Don't elaborate. Just give me some names.
Don't elaborate. Just give me some names.
Just names. I want to. Who have you been on tour with? Selling merch. I'm not sure what I'm allowed to say and what I'm not. That's why I said yeah.
Some guys, some gals, some people with instruments.
Yes.
I toured with Aaron Carter for a very long time. I toured, rest in peace. I toured, my dad managed the Alice Cooper band. He was responsible for getting them back together in 1997.
Wow.
So, there was always stuff like that. But, basically, whether it was work or play, my dad and I just made sure we were always at a show. So
you wow. Okay, so now that's an upbringing.
That's cool.
That is a rock star upbringing.
I will write a book someday when I know what I can actually say and what I can't.
Okay, I've always had this one rock star experience in my brain, and we'll talk about that off the air because it was horrible, and I failed at being a rock star. I was not very good at it. So, all right. So let's come back to Tulsa.
Sure.
You're in Tulsa.
Mm-hmm.
Things are happening. You're an entrepreneur at heart.
Yes, I will.
When did you?
When did I first know?
I feel like a psychologist. When did you first begin to have those feelings?
So I think the earliest one I can really remember, which I'm sure I did, the lemonade stands and things like that.
Right.
But the earliest one that I can really remember that I like to tell people is that, do you remember, obviously you remember American Idol, right?
Yeah, right.
So during the first season of American Idol, everybody's watching it and everything else. You know what I was doing? I was sitting at the edge of my bed with a yellow notebook and a pen and writing down the name of everybody who did really well. Oh. And where they were from, and then calling 411 because that's what you did back then, right? You called 411 the information, right?
Right.
I would call 411 in whatever those cities were. I would get their phone numbers, and then I would go and buy their domain name so that as they went further, I could make sure that I had their domain name and I had the phone number to call to sell it to them. Wow. So that's what I was doing during the first,
How old were you?
17.
Wow.
That is awesome.
But here's where the problem comes in, okay? Out of the list that I made, somehow I didn't get Kelly Clarkson, and she's the one that won, right? The only one that I got that went really far was Justin Guarini, who got second place. But at that point, I had already like called and basically like tried to say, by the way, I have this. So if you need this, whatever. Except for then I made best friends with his mom. And then like during the entire season, we would like sit on the phone and go, oh my God, did you see that? Like, so I gave it to him. Like, so that's where I also didn't really have a business mind yet. Yes. I had good ideas. I just didn't have the follow through yet.
All right. Well, you're 17. I think that can be excused. Well, let's talk then. You talked about your mom and dad and people in your life.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about who gave you influence.
Like who made me?
Yeah. Like, I mean, how did it all happen for you? Because I think there's a little bit of all of us in all of us.
Yeah.
You know, in my world, my mom, my dad, my uncles, my aunts, all that. There's a little bit of all of those people in me, but who had the most profound influence on you?
That would be my dad.
Yeah.
So my dad, he was one of those guys that he knew a little bit about everything, right? But he didn't even know what a effect he had on people. He always said he made a great third impression.
Like, oh, I like that.
he didn't think he made a good first or second, but that third one, he's got
third
that,
impression
right?
was golden.
Everything he did was very outside of the box. You know, I remember one of my favorite things, and I will say a little Alice Cooper thing. I can go a little bit into it. One of my favorite things was in '97. Alice actually wasn't there. He was being filled in for a guy named Richie Scarlett. But this was when my dad actually got a hold of all the rest of the Alice Cooper band and got them to get back together, right? They hadn't talked in, I don't know, 15, 20 years, something like that, right? And so they were... we didn't know how to, well, not we, I was like 12. My dad didn't know how to get the word out because, you know, I think they had just, in '97, they had just come out with AOL. It wasn't something that you like, you know, market through or anything like that. Like, what am I going to do? Go in an Alice Cooper chat room and see how many people in there are near Houston? Like, you know, that's not going to work. Right. So, you know, everything was basically, you know, paper, you know, that kind of thing. So he had gotten permission to, Kiss was playing at the Astrodome, I believe. And he had gotten permission to go out there and basically try to promote the fact that the Coopers were getting back together, that they were playing a show at a place called Area 51. And so they had made all these little flyers. If you know Alice Cooper music, you know, $1 Billion Babies, right?
Right.
So they made all these flyers that looked like money. And basically what they did is, you know, it looked like money, only the faces were the Coopers, right? And then it had the information for the show on it, right? So him and a few people he knew went around, you know, the Astrodome, which was a big amphitheater. And at a certain time, they all threw them. So it looked like money was going over the crowd.
Wow.
Right? And so, you know, everybody's, oh my God, money. You know, they're grabbing it and everything else. And then they realize it's a flyer and they get mad. And then they realize, wait a sec, the Coopers are getting back together. You know, so, you know.
Guerrilla marketing 101.
Yeah. So that ended up being how that got done, you know. And he packed it out. The Coopers, you know, other than Alice, came to play. Richie came to play with them. Richie's still very close to him. It ended up being, so they got together, they did the show. Glenn Buxton, the original guitarist, actually got sick at my house that weekend. Just came down with something, was starting to come down with it when he was on his way to the airport. Died of pneumonia about, I think, no less than a week later. Oh, so it ended up being, you know, the last show he ever played, you know, within a week. You know, he got to have the band together one more time, went home and passed away. So, you know, it's a widely known thing in the Cooper world, you know. Wow. And the thing is that my dad was the outside of the box kind of person who could get that done, you know, like it's just, that's who he was. You know, so it very much it motivates what I do, and it also influences what I do because, you know, with my marketing is totally different than anybody else's, mostly because I learned how to do it on bands and then applied that to businesses.
Right.
But it's also because, you know. And
most business people wish they were in a band.
Right.
So,
it's true.
Yeah.
Don't worry, we'll take you to the mall, we'll get you discovered. But, you know, it's just the way that he had relationships with people, the parent that he was, you know, very much influences the parent that I am to my sons.
Right.
You know, just the little things. Everything is about the little things, and I try to be that person. For instance, if I lost a tooth and he put, you know, the money under my pillow, he had a Barbie that he had hidden and a ink stamp pad that he would put handprints all over the dollar before he put it underneath my pillow. It's just the little things. And I very much have tried to carry that on in relationships and business and with my family, with my kids, so he's definitely the top influential.
Sounds like he was a cool guy.
He was awesome.
Very cool. All right, so entrepreneurship.
Yes.
Okay, let's just be honest. It's sketchy. Right? I mean, it can be sketchy.
I kind of love it, but yes.
But we love it. And I mean, we're the only idiots who will work 80 hours a week to avoid working 40 hours a week.
That's true.
I mean, think about it.
That's true.
That's exactly true.
Except for one thing.
What's that?
That we get to do what we love.
Right.
Right?
Right. And we can sleep in on a Wednesday. Or
Nope. I have too many bong meetings.
No, okay. But if we wanted to, we could plan it out.
Correct.
So what was, I mean, there are moments as an entrepreneur. I mean, there's the moment you start. I think that's one of the weaker moments. I mean, it's a neat moment, and most people that start, like
we have no idea what we're doing.
I'm going to go do whatever. But there are moments in there that are pivotal.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've had my own. I can count 2 or 3 where I look back and I'm like, oh, that moment.
Yeah.
What's yours?
Mine is probably maybe 6 months to a year into owning my business. Real quickly, I had inherited somebody else's business. I actually didn't know the day that I bought my business that I was buying a business that day. And I'm somebody that kind of overthinks everything. So the fact
Right.
that morning I had no idea what I was doing that day, I just thought I was going to work. We had found out a couple months prior to that the owner, it was a 6-year-old company, the owner was going to retire. I had only been there for 3 months at this point, and he said that he wanted to go to somebody in the office. I saw them all talk about what they would do if they owned the company. And, I was hoping somebody was going to save my job, but I wasn't interested in it. Right. But that day, I came in and nobody had bought. This was the last payroll. I knew that I would be able to get the funds together from my family for one like crazy idea card in my life, ask them, if I buy the company today, will you guys stay and do the things you said you would do if you bought the company? Obviously I just had a little bit of a hero complex, I want to save everybody's job. They said, yes, I bought the company on that Friday. We moved locations over Saturday, Sunday, opened for business with a new owner and a new location on Monday. Right?
Wow.
That is not my answer. My answer is that probably about 6 months to a year after that, I don't know if it's because I'm a woman or because it was ballsy what I did or because I was 26 or 27 at the time that I did it or that I was a single mom that did it.
Right.
I don't know what it was, but we did get a lot of, attention due to how I acquired it and things like that. We got a lot of clients because of the fact that I owned it. It helped out a lot. What I was used to, though, was people kind of patting me on the back. I always got the pat on the back. I really never got any kind of criticism. Okay. So, I probably was pretty cocky at that point.
Okay.
You go 6 months to a year, you did something real ballsy. You haven't gotten any criticism on it. It's working, that
Right.
kind of thing. I probably got pretty cocky. But I had a friend that he is incredible in business. He's a motivational speaker. He does all kinds of things. He lives in the area. His name is Cody Jefferson. And he has a company called Embrace the Lion. And basically, he and I were, we met through Facebook, like commenting on each other, like not on each other's things. We'd have the same friends and we'd end
Right.
up, making jokes in the comments underneath it and stuff
Right.
like that. And, I think it was actually New Year's Eve about, 9 years ago. He was just like, we just actually became friends. Right.
That's nice.
And so a couple, days later, we decided, let's go get a drink. Right. And I knew that it was going to be about business, and frankly, I thought I was going to walk in there and I thought that he was going to do what everybody else did, pat me on the back. This was, crazy what you did. You saved everybody's jobs. You're doing great for your clients. I see your name everywhere, blah, 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 blah. That was not the case.
Oh,
at
okay.
all.
Here we go.
At all. So he started telling me the truth. He started telling me, that our graphics needed work, that, some of the stuff that we were doing didn't look professional, and he could see my face, and like I was starting to like, ugh, like I don't even know how to respond to
Are you
this.
clenching up at that point?
Oh,
Like
man.
you're like
Oh man,
you're resisting?
I had a headache for like a week after that from just like clenching my jaws. Like, oh my God, how do I even because I couldn't even defend myself on it because I mean, secretly I knew it was true.
Oh, okay.
Because I didn't know what I didn't know, and I fell into this, right? And I was cocky. And so he basically said, "Look, I can stroke your ego like everybody else does if you want, or I can tell you the truth." And I said, "I want the truth."
Right.
So he did.
Bring him
And
on.
he laid it on thick. He did. And I went home, and I'm not gonna lie, I had to lick my wounds a little bit. It took me the weekend to lick my wounds a little bit. I sat in the bathtub, I cried a little bit, whatever. And then I came in on Monday morning with a list of things that he had said, and I sat down with my staff and I said, "This is what we're dealing with. How do we fix it?" Had he not done that, I do not think my company would have lasted as long as it did.
Right.
I do not. Because I needed that. And yeah, the criticism hurt at the time, but if he hadn't done that, I couldn't have made the changes.
Right.
And so I've actually worked really hard since then because I'm pretty sure I was never really good at criticism prior to that. So I've worked really hard on being able to take constructive criticism for what it is since then. Because I actually really do. I know we would not have made it as long as we did had he not been kind enough to tell me the truth.
I think the right kind of criticism is exactly that. I think it's kind.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you have corn in your teeth, you want to have friends that'll tell you.
I'm like, what I do?
No, that's not part of my. Yeah, I just wanted to let you know.
Absolutely.
I think you need that. I think you need somebody in your life who will go, "Hey, I don't see it the way you're seeing it. And here's why I don't see it the way you're seeing it."
And he is that person. I mean, my kids and I went, to see him a couple nights ago so he could cut my kid's hair because he texted me and he said, "Why does my nephew look homeless?" I said, "We're coming."
We'll be right there. So let's talk about things that you believe, your core values.
Okay.
And I think there's a difference in personal values and business values sometime. I come from a world where like I really value the relationships. I do. I don't know that you can make a friend into a client, but you can sure make a client into a friend.
Correct.
And so we've always just started like just treat people like you'd want to be treated. I know that's very cliche even, but let's talk about your values and your personal values, your business values, and how those align. Or are they the same?
Well, here's the thing. You just said that's pretty cliche, but the thing is that cliche comes when somebody says it over and over and over again, and they're only
Right.
going to say it over and over and over again if it's true.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
So if something's cliche, I tend to believe it even more.
Yeah, I think there's some value in
It's
that.
like you got a review on that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. All right.
Yeah.
Well, so
to be honest, especially in a business like mine, right? My favorite kinds of clients, for instance, are the startups. I like it when people come to me and say, "I have an idea for this," and they kind of let me work through it with them and that kind of thing, right? Or even the ones that have been open for a couple years and, they've gone as far as they can go without knowing what they're doing when it comes to marketing and advertising and things like that. The problem is that there's a lot of companies like mine that know what to say to get the sale.
right.
It's about the money, and I'm not saying everybody, but there definitely have been
Sure.
some that, are about the money. One of my favorite things about what I do is that, I'm a competitive person. I want to compete, on behalf of not only my own business, but, on behalf of my clients. That's why I don't take on more than one kind of, business in any given territory. I don't see it as ethical for people to compete against each other
Right.
while they're both paying me.
Right.
Right. And the thing is that, as long as I guess they are the same in business and, personally, as long as you communicate, typically things can get worked out, right? As long as you give people, realistic expectations,
Right.
things can work out.
Yeah, I think the communication piece is missing in many entrepreneurs.
So many.
And it's not because they lack ethics. It's just because they lack time. And and I think that's one of the things we ought to address is how does an entrepreneur have time to do their business and run a social media platform that maybe they do and do HR and do taxes and do be a mom and have a life. And a lot of times you have to delegate some of those things. And if you don't delegate them, your business, just the business, is worse off
Mm-hmm.
because you
And then you're worse off, and then your home life is worse off because if you had a terrible day at work, you're gonna have a terrible, you're gonna take it home with you.
right, and then your kids are skinny because you don't have no money.
I know,
Yeah,
right?
right. Nobody wants that.
No. And I think that's really important, because, I tell people all the time, I don't, if my toilet backs up, I don't know how to fix that,
Right.
right? Gotta call a plumber, gotta do that kind of thing. But, if a plumber has, a business that nobody knows where it is and it's a billboard in the desert, he doesn't know how to get that in front of people. I do, and it's important to be able to put the people in place that need to be in place and make the relationships that the fact is that I don't want, I mean, even my plumber, I don't want a plumber that doesn't care if,
Right.
the work that he did was good.
True.
I want my plumber to come into my house, see what the problem is, see me and my kids there, see that, we need something fixed and actually care about this family that I have to fix something for them. Just
Okay.
like I care about, the clients that I work with, even businesses in the area that I don't work with. I
Right.
want them, I meet up with a lot of them to give them tips, even if they're not going to hire me, on things they can do to make their time go easier, their work go further, specifically because I know that a lot of businesses like mine haven't told them these things, have told them the opposite of these things. I mean, heck, you can even go into, let's be honest, Facebook and Instagram are a business. They don't
Right.
want you to be able to promote for free.
Right.
So, frankly, anything they tell you to do, probably better to do the opposite.
Right.
Because you don't want to make it to where, okay, now you're out of the algorithm, got to do all these paid ads, that kind of thing. So it's really just a matter of being as honest as possible, as open as possible. I mean, you know me, I'm an open book.
You are.
Honest, open, and actually caring. Like really caring, not just I care enough to get this contract signed.
Right.
Really caring.
Right.
And so, yeah, I think my core values are the same at home, at work,
That's good to hear. We are with
everywhere.
Jillian Marina, and she is the founder of KeepTulsaLocal.com. They do social media management for small and medium-sized businesses. And we're going to take a commercial break right now to say thank you to those kinds of businesses who have supported us here at Cashflows. Kenneth.
All right. So one of our businesses we're going to talk about today is MFP. With My Financial Plan, keep everything you own in one secure, accessible place. See everything you own and know what everything is worth. Benefits include a personal financial website with daily balances, interactive decision-making tools, a secure personal vault, and budgeting tools. It's accessible anytime, and you can get it for yourself at joinmfp.com.
All right, we're here with Jillian Marina, KeepTulsaLocal.com. She does social media management and has been around the Tulsa area making waves for quite a long time, and we're happy to have her here today. So, Jillian, if you had to choose one thing that's like your golden rule that you have to follow as a business person or that somebody should follow when marketing their business, tell us. I mean, you've only got one little nugget on what to do for a business owner. What's number one?
One little nugget. Create a relationship with the community based as the brand. So many people forget the word social in social media. They just use it to promote themselves, right? I tell people all the time, if your mother is, selling what it works or what's that makeup brand everybody used to
Yeah, we're
Avon,
experts.
right?
Avon? Yeah.
Pretend, yeah. I see you wearing your makeup, don't lie.
I think I'm in autumn. I feel beautiful.
I feel pretty. If your mom sells Avon, right? And every single time she talks to you, she's trying to sell you Avon, you're going to tune her out. I don't care if it's your mother, right? But if out of 10 times you're talking to her, a couple times are about business, a couple times are about, asking you how work is, how the kids are, inviting you to dinner, and a couple times are about Avon, you're going to listen to what she's saying because she's not shoving it down your throat, right? It's the same thing on social media when people forget, to actually create that relationship and they're just advertising themselves. If you would shut down your mother, I promise you'd shut down a stranger a lot faster, right?
Yeah, I think you see that on Facebook a lot.
So much.
When you get a friend request and you go look at their page and everything is about their product or what they're selling,
Mhm.
I just For me, Facebook is my TV show.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't get to be an advertiser if all you talk about, because I really do care more about what you had for dinner last night
Mm-hmm.
than your special going on. And it's not that I don't want to know about those things, but I want to know about them in the right context
Exactly.
and the right time. We have a word at the Business Owners Networking group called poodles.
Poodles.
Yeah, I had an experience, and I'm interjecting this because this is appropriate to what you're saying. Had an experience. I was at a couple's home, and I'm explaining something about money and finance. And a little poodle, ran up and started going to town on my leg. Do you know what I mean by going to town on my leg?
Yeah, I was like, you better have a sound effect for this.
Yeah, so I'm over. Wow, Jillian also brought her own sound effects. Thank you for that. But anyway, it starts going to town on my leg, and they were just unaffected by it. And I'm over here being
abused
by a little 4-pound dog that just fell in love with my right leg, and I'm over here trying to.
If we have any attorneys listening,
yeah, I think I could sue for this. I think I'm traumatized.
It's possible.
Anyway, so that bothered me. What bothered me more is the dog fell asleep right after. And then I've done lots of sales training for financial professionals out in the world, and then it occurred to me lots of people that sell things are like that poodle. They just want to run up, have their way with you. And then they're looking for the next leg to. So we have a philosophy: don't be a poodle. And I think you're illustrating it probably in far kinder terms than I am. So that's one of our core values.
Don't be a poodle.
Don't be a poodle. Well, we hit. Yeah, thank you for that. We had decals made and everything. That's the kind of group that we are. Okay, so create a relationship in the community.
Yeah, I mean,
that's not just your brand.
Exactly. I mean, you can even do it as your brand. On Instagram, it gives you a lot more leniency actually than Facebook does to be able to, correspond with people and that kind of thing. So,
Right.
For instance, don't go just on your Instagram page the days that you're posting. Go on the other days.
Right.
Go find people in your demographic, follow them, like their stuff, comment on their stuff, like actually create a relationship with them. Don't just reach out to them and say, hey, I'm a small business and da-da-da-da-da, because they're going to shut you out because everyone is doing that. Actually care about them, and it goes right back to caring. Actually care about them and what they're doing and what their life is and how they can fit into your life. You can fit into their life and everything else, and let them come to you.
What do you think about, like, I looked in my, hey, will you please like my page thing the other day? I forgot to check that. And I think there were 800.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't have time to like you. I don't even know if I like you. Who are you?
Who are you?
Yeah, are you okay if I don't like their page right away?
If I send it, you better like it.
Well, dude, I've had pancakes with you.
I know. I've had pancakes with you. You better like it.
No, I'm all in. All right, let's go the other direction.
Okay.
Let's talk about failure.
Okay.
Let's talk about when you hit the nail squarely on the thumb and things don't go well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, has that helped you? Has that hurt you? Tell us a little bit about the benefits of failure.
Well, yeah. Specific failure would be, losing my business after COVID. When 90% of your clientele is small business and they all shut down.
Wow. Yeah, that's okay. Well, is that a failure or is that a situation?
Okay, so at the time I saw it as a failure.
Yeah.
At the time I spent way more money than I should have trying to not quote unquote fail.
Right.
I spent more time, more money, more effort trying to keep it going, not because I thought it needed to keep going, not because I didn't understand what happened with the pandemic and, the businesses and everything else, but specifically because I didn't want to see it as I failed. I don't know how to fail.
Right.
But, after a year of pushing, I finally had to let it go. It took me, it's one of the reasons it's taken me so long to get back into marketing because, I saw it as, I had built this, gigantic thing and then I lost it, and if I did it again, I don't want to start over.
It might be more fair to say it was taken away from you.
It is.
If you buy a car and lose it, that's one thing. I think everybody in college has probably done that at least once on a Friday night. But if you buy a car and it gets taken from you, that's a different situation.
It is. But I mean, just I don't know if it was the way that I was raised or the fact that, I mean, I'll be honest, my family did not expect me to amount to much. I didn't dedicate myself to many things. I had the sister that, valedictorian from Harvard, like
Well,
out
yeah, I
of
mean, who doesn't have that?
out of the two kids, like it's not they were very proud.
Right.
They were very, very proud because, I they always say I pull rabbits out of my hat, right? So I pulled so many rabbits out of my hat that I had gotten to this place and I couldn't deal with the fact that I lost it. I just couldn't. And so when I did lose it, regardless of what the surrounding circumstances were, I saw it as a failure. And it took me a little bit of time to be able to come to terms with that. So it wasn't, like I said, until, a couple years later, which was only a few weeks ago, that, I started looking into doing it again. And my 13-year-old actually put me in my place. I said, I don't know how to do this. I'm scared to do this because, I don't want to start over. And he said, Mom, you're not starting over from scratch. You're starting over from experience.
Right.
And that's when I realized, okay, you know what? I might have done this good though. I raised this kid good,
Yeah,
but
well, I mean, that's wisdom from a 13-year-old.
yeah,
Out of the mouth of babes.
out of the mouth of babes.
Yeah, for sure. So tell us about your two sons.
They are amazing. They are my favorite thing I've ever done. They are two sons, like you said, one's 13, one's 15. My 15-year-old is probably the sweetest boy you will ever meet in your life. He is very quiet, very shy. Just really, really cares about everybody,
Wow. That's unusual at 15.
He's been like that his whole life.
Wow.
Like I remember, he's actually homeschooled now. He's been homeschooled since COVID. But I remember when he was like, 10 or 11, he was in school. And the only thing that, we would go to parent teacher conferences. And the only thing that the teacher would tell me was like that the only thing that he ever did wrong was that like he would actually stand up during class. Like if he saw the teacher getting stressed out, he would stand up during class and walk up to the teacher and like rub her back and say like, are you okay? And
Wow.
it's like, I was like, well, we got to put, boundaries in there so that, because at some point that could be a problem.
Right.
But it's like, that's the only thing that he would ever say.
Well, so he's empathetic.
Very, very empathetic. Very sweet.
We need more of that.
Oh God. I look at him and I go, please don't let the world change you.
So what do you want them to learn from, and this is such my mom was a single mom on and off during my whole childhood.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to watch her. I didn't listen to her. Not once. I don't think I ever listened to her. But I got to watch her survive.
Yeah.
And she had grit. What do you think your kids are learning from you?
I mean, Jack, I don't know if he needs, my 13-year-old, I don't know if he needs to learn anything from me because frankly, I learn from him every day. Right. He's the sarcastic one, but always in a funny way, never in a mean way. Always, takes care of people. Just always. But what I hope that they learn, and what I think they are learning is, first off, how to hustle.
Right.
Bad things are going to happen. Things are not going to go according to plan. Things very rarely ever go according to plan. But
boy, isn't that the truth?
Right. But, one thing that I really love about myself, and I hope that they pick up on it, is that, if I have a plan on a direction of where I'm going, where my life is going to go, where I'm headed, whatever, if something gets in my way, I'm either going to go around it to get back to my original path, or maybe I'm going to go somewhere totally different and then convince myself that this is a better place than I would have landed on the first time. I'm going to be fluid. I'm not going to let things stop me. I am not going to, I pivot, not pause.
Yeah, so you might go over them or through them, or whatever might be trying to stop.
But
you.
I'm sure not going to stop.
Yeah.
Just because something gets in my way, I'm not going to stop. And I really, really hope they inherit that. Just basically how to turn the bad, anything bad that happens into an opportunity for a better than original plan.
Cool. Okay. Final question. And then we're going to ask you for a nugget at the end of this.
A nugget.
A business nugget. You got to imagine you're in front of 500 brand new entrepreneurs and you only get to tell them one thing. We'll get to that in a second. Tell me first, where are you going to be in 5 years? What do you see happening? Where's this headed?
Well, the good news is that social media, I can do it from anywhere.
Right.
So in my dreamland in 5 years, my sons will already have graduated. So that'll be done. I want to live in a converted bus. I want to live at the beach for a couple months if I want to, in the mountains for a couple months if I want to.
Right.
I have friends and family all over the place. I want to be able to be around them for a couple months if I want to. And I want to have a senior dog, hopefully the one that I have now, because I just got her in April. But I love senior dogs. I love adopting them. So if I still have her, that'd be wonderful. I probably won't, but if not, when she goes, I will go get another one, and I will just give them the best last couple of years of their life, and we will just travel, and I can do my work from there, and I can just make all the memories. Like I said, I grew up touring. Basically, I guess once my kids are out of the house, I'll go back to that.
All right. Well, let's get a nugget out there for the 500 brand new people that just joined the B.O.N.G group, and they want to hear you speech one line. Give us your nugget.
If you don't love what you're doing, it's never going to work.
Money. That is money. We're here today with Jillian Marina, the owner and founder of KeepTulsaLocal.com. She does social media management. And let's face it, most people suck at it. Really? I mean,
most people think it doesn't work because they don't know how to do it.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's, people think things don't work because they don't know how to do it. I don't know. I ache for some entrepreneurs that, they've got a great idea and they're great people and they have great work ethic, but there's that one little adjustment that they need to make that fills up their checkbook and they can't see it.
And that's when you just have to be somebody who's willing to be open enough to see it, because it's the same kind of thing. Like if you have one person having all of the ideas, they're going to miss something. I don't care how smart they are.
Oh, right.
But if you have a group of people who are great in their own fields and their own ways and everything else, and you have them around a table and everybody, here's the idea. Okay, wait, but what if we do this too? What if we do this too? Everybody's throwing their thing in and it just comes out with a giant brain baby. That's going to be the best, right? And actually, that's kind of what B.O.N.G is.
It kind of is. I mean, we have so many unique people. And, when the student is ready, the teacher appears.
And, Daniel-san.
And wax on.
Wax on, wax off. Oh, sorry, my sound thing is back.
Oh, that's okay. Well, we're going to, let's get on out of here, buddy, and
let's do that.
Wrap up this show. Jillian, we're so glad you came today.
Thank you for having me.
We can't wait to share this out there in the world. So, man, we keep on going here at Cashflows. We're glad you're here today. Our encouragement to you, if you're in business or life or any of those things, that you take the next step forward. We are about fire, aim, ready, and there's nothing wrong with a little bit of planning. But if you do it with somebody who can help you plan and go to the right direction and be specific. So that's what Cashflows is about, and bringing in experts so you don't have to be one. And be nice to each other. Love on each other. Be nice to people around you. Today, go forgive one person that does not deserve it and see how things turn out. So, Kenneth, let's wrap it up. Let's say thank you to the 3 people down there in Tecumseh, Oklahoma, near where I used to live in the big city of Shawnee. Those 3 people keeping us alive, listening today to us, and to the 4 of you who keep on liking our posts. We want to say thank you by taking you to Brahms. We'll meet you there. Thanks for being here today. I'm Cash Matthews, saying goodbye from Cashflows.
That's our show for today. Stay tuned for another riveting edition of Cashflows.